Hey guys, it's DisneyDad, and today I have a couple things I want to talk about, and that is the magic hours at Disneyland and at Magic Kingdom. So let's get started. So like I said, today we're going to talk about magic hour, and at the end of this conversation we're going to have a discussion with everyone that's on chat, answer some questions. So let's go ahead and get started. So you can see here that we have the DisneyDad Talks About Magic Hour show. And this is what we're going to talk about today. Let's see here, we got the topics for today's show is going to be what are the magic hours, how it works for Disneyland and Magic World, for Disneyland and Disney World magic hours, and also magic mornings. We're going to talk about the best ways to use it, tips and tricks, the morning hours versus the night hours, what are the actual magic hours, is it worth it, and then Q&A at the end. So, skip to the next slide here. One of the things that we need to discuss first is what are magic hours, and if we talk about magic hours for Disney World, there's a couple requirements for you to be able to use this service. So what the service is you get an hour either at the beginning of the day before the park opens to the general public, or you get 2 hours at the end of the day when the park closes to everyone else. You can continue to go on rides, but there's some requirements like I said. So let's go over the requirements that you'll need for magic hour. As you can see here, the first thing you have to be is a resort guest, and the only exception that you can have magic hours without being a resort guest is if you actually set up a breakfast reservation at one of the parks that are having the magic hour for Disney World. So say you set up Be Our Guest for Disney World. If you set that up in the morning reservation for a breakfast, it actually opens up your magic hour for that day, even though you don't have, even though you're not staying at a resort. So this is very useful if you're trying to get some extra rides in and you're not staying at the resort. You might be staying off property. So it's definitely a trick some people don't know about. And then that would be the morning. So at nighttime, some of the parks are open for 2 hours after the park. So say Epcot has magic hours that night, it would close to the general public, and then you would have 2 hours extended for that for the people that are staying at the resort. You would get an extra 2 hours to ride rides. Now the park stays open to everyone, so they close the park down, but if you're in it, they don't kick you out. What happens is you can't ride any rides unless you have resort reservations. So after the park closes, all the rides become scan rides. So you have to actually scan your magic band to get into the ride. Everyone does, and if it scans and you're not staying at the resort, they won't let you in. So you can still stay in the park, and you can go to the shops or you could eat at the restaurants. But if you're not a resort guest, you cannot ride the rides after they close for nighttime magic hours. So this is very good because nighttime is good because it opens up more rides than the morning time. If we move over to the next slide here, when we talk about the tips and tricks, I find that the nighttime hours are a lot better because they have more rides available. The morning is more limited. So let's go ahead to that next slide and talk about some of the tips we have for Magic Kingdom. So one of the things I need to let you guys know about is the Park Hopper Pass. So if you guys decide to do magic hour in the morning at Magic Kingdom or at any of the parks that are available, which is Magic Kingdom, Epcot, Animal Kingdom, and Hollywood Studios. So if you pick one of those parks and you don't have a Park Hopper Pass, you are locked into that park for the rest of the day. So you can't do both. You can't go to Magic Kingdom with a single day pass and then head over to Epcot. You have to have a Park Hopper Pass. So, but what this means though, if you do get a Park Hopper Pass, it really opens up your possibilities because you can hit Magic Kingdom in the morning, say they have their morning magic hours that day, and then you would set up your fast passes in advance to say Epcot. So you'd set up your 3 fast passes for Epcot. You can get 2 parks in and get even more rides in by doing this if you have the Park Hopper Pass, which I highly recommend doing if you want to hit these magic hours in the morning. Same thing at night. If you have a single day ticket to Epcot and you're staying at the resort and the magic hours are at Magic Kingdom, you cannot go to Magic Kingdom and do the magic hours at night because you used your pass for Epcot. You would have to have either a Park Hopper Pass or purchase another pass to go into Magic Kingdom, which wouldn't be worth it. So like I said before a little bit was Magic Kingdom probably has the best morning magic hour because they have the most rides open, giving it the best advantage for the bang for your buck if you're going to take the time to get up early in the morning and go to one of these magic hours. So what else I have here is like we talked about before, the breakfast reservations. A great tip, a pro tip for this would be schedule your breakfast reservations for the same park that has your magic hour. Do your magic hour first and then schedule your breakfast reservation immediately after the magic hour is over. So you get that full hour in the morning to ride rides with very, very small line waits because it's not open to the general public yet. And then as soon as you're done that, you can head right over to your breakfast reservation, giving you the most possible time to ride rides, and also being able to save some time by being in the place you already have breakfast reservations for. One quick note here is for the Animal Kingdom does not have magic hour at nighttime because the animals need to sleep. So they do not offer magic hours for Animal Kingdom at night, but they do for Epcot, Hollywood Studios, and Magic Kingdom. So one tip here, another pro tip, is to check when the parks close because they do change their hours throughout the year. They don't always close at the same time. So if you check the park closing and you schedule accordingly, you can find some days that one of these parks might not be open so late. Maybe they close 8, 9 o'clock. And then that starts after that, you get your 2 hours. So some of these parks like Magic Kingdom stays open pretty late, like 10 o'clock some nights. So that means your magic hours would be from 10 to 12, if not later, meaning you're going to be out pretty late. And if you have kids or you just don't like staying up late, I try to find the park that has the magic hours and they close earlier, and then that way it extends your time and without having to stay up till 1 o'clock in the morning. And like I said before, there's more rides at night in general for the parks because they don't open up all of the rides for magic hours. So whether it's the morning or at nighttime, the ride selection is limited because they have less cast members manning the ride. So general rule of thumb is at nighttime you do get more bang for your buck for the rides because there's more open. So let's head over to the next slide. Next slide would be Disneyland. So we talked about Magic, we talked about Disney World, so let's talk about Disneyland. This is the same concept here, which you must stay at a Disneyland resort. You need a valid ticket and an active hotel room key to enter in the magic hours. The difference between Disney World and Disneyland, though, is that Disneyland does not offer nighttime hours. It is just morning, and it's an hour before the park opens on select days. There's 2 parks over at Disneyland. You have Disneyland Park and you have Disneyland or Disney California Adventure. You can see there the days that are open. They kind of alternate days. So let's move on to the tips for Disneyland. Okay, so there's 2 things we need to talk about here. So Disneyland's a little bit different than Disney World because they have what's called magic hours, and then they also have what's called magic mornings. So for the magic hours, it's similar to Disney World, where you have to be staying at one of the resorts to take advantage of the magic hours, the 1 hour in the morning for Disneyland or California Adventure. But they also have what is called magic mornings. The magic morning, as you can see, is the same benefits, but the way you get magic mornings is a little different. You can purchase just a 3-day ticket and not stay at one of the hotels, and then that opens up the magic hours, which they call magic morning. And the only downside to this, though, is you can't go to California Adventure. So when they have California Adventure open for the days we talked before, so if you had the magic hours, you could see here that you could not go to magic hours Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sundays because that's California Adventures and it wouldn't work. So you would only be open till Tuesday, Thursday, Saturdays, and you can only go to Disneyland if you get the magic morning, which is comes with the 3-day pass. So it's a little different than Disney World, where they have an option where you don't have to stay at the resort, which is nice. If you're planning on staying for multiple days, you probably have a 3-day ticket anyway, so then that way you could go to the magic hour, the magic morning, and then utilize it that way. Moving on here, Disneyland recommends that you arrive an hour and 15 minutes early for your magic hour in the morning. Now this is pretty important because a lot of times they will actually open up the gates early and you can head in before the actual magic hour starts, which is nice. They don't always do it, but sometimes they do. Now, one of the big advantages here, if you're familiar with Max Pass at Disneyland, if you're not familiar with Max Pass in Disneyland, I'll put a card up here, and then I'll put a link in the description. I just released a video for explaining all you need to know about Disneyland Max Pass. But for the Max Pass, which is the Disneyland's Fast Pass, you cannot do it prior to arrive to the park. But the advantage here with Magic Hour is you can actually, once you enter Magic Hour in the morning and you scan your ticket and enter the park, you can begin to start scheduling your Fast Passes for the day, which is huge. This is a very big advantage because as soon as you get in that hour before the public's opened, you're already scheduling Fast Passes when no one else can, because if they didn't attend Magic Hour, their Max Pass isn't activated until they scan their ticket. So this is a huge advantage to everyone else. You can start scheduling out your whole day while you're getting even extra rides in during Magic Hour. So that is definitely one of the big benefits of doing Magic Hour in Disneyland. So just a side note here, the Magic Hour and Magic Mornings do affect crowd levels, but for Disney World it affects it a lot more. There's just a higher population of people at Disney World compared to Disneyland, but it does affect crowd levels a little bit because everyone's trying to take advantage of that first hour open. So that means if Disneyland's the day that that Magic Hour is set up for Disneyland that day, that means you're going to have way more people going to Disneyland that day because they're all trying to utilize their Fast Pass or their Magic Hour in the morning, which means the population of that park is going to be a lot higher throughout the day just because they're already there, so they're probably going to finish their day there. Alright, moving on here. Let's talk about whether I think it's worth it or not. So I went over some of these points before, so I just want to go over a couple of reasons why I think it's worth it and a couple of reasons why I don't think it's worth it. So, as you can see here, like we said with the park hopping, I absolutely think it's worth it if you're going to get the park hopper pass, because like I said before, if you utilize going to the Magic Hour in the morning and then schedule your 3 Fast Passes for a different park, you can take advantage of getting a lot of short lines for the day, and that saves you a lot of time. And if you have a family, it saves you a lot of headache with kids. And like I said here, brings me to my next point, which is have kids. If you have kids, it's definitely worth it, because if you go to some of the bigger rides in the morning, like Peter Pan, and you bang out those rides in the morning, it opens up your whole day from having to wait in line later in the day and waste your Fast Passes on some of those rides. So if you have kids, it's definitely worth it. And then, like I mentioned before, if you start collecting your Fast Passes in the morning for your Max Pass at Disneyland, that is absolutely one of the biggest benefits you have with Magic Hours. Not only do you get to ride a couple extra rides before the park opens to the public, but you get to start scheduling your Fast Passes at Disneyland, which you cannot do until you scan your ticket. So that is a huge benefit. If you can afford it, that's another big downfall, which would be in the no column. If you can't afford it, it kind of makes it not worth it. But if you definitely can afford staying at one of the resorts or buying the 3-day ticket, it's absolutely worth it for Disneyland. And then for Disney World, staying at one of the hotels. Like I said before, that little hack with the breakfast, if you schedule your breakfast for one of the restaurants that are, that has the Magic Hour that morning, so if you schedule that Be Our Guest for Magic Kingdom, that opens up your Magic Hour for you. So that's definitely nice because you don't have to spend any more money and you can still do a couple Magic Hours. It's hard to get reservations. I advise booking those reservations as soon as you're able to, depending on how far away you are from your trip, because everyone likes to go to breakfast because of the Magic Hour, and that the breakfast is just awesome at Disney World and Disneyland. So I definitely recommend that. And then we have here reasons why not. I would not recommend going and staying at a resort just for the Magic Hours. I don't think that's worth it. It's just way too expensive nowadays to stay at these Disney World and Disneyland resorts just to use the Magic Hour. So it's great if you're doing it anyway, or if you can get a 3-day ticket for Disneyland, but I definitely don't think it's worth doing just to stay at one of the resorts. And then obviously it's not worth it if you can't get up early or stay out late for the night hours at Disney World. If you have kids, it can get very late with kids at nighttime, with the extra Magic Hours going in so deep into the night. And obviously getting up early, getting the kids ready, I recommend for Disneyland it's an hour and 15 minutes. In Disney World, at least 15 minutes to a half hour early for your morning magic hours, and that's kind of hard to do sometimes with kids that can understand, so that might not be worth it. So let's see, moving on here. Here's a couple bonus tips that I wanted to go over. These are some of the tips that if you do use magic hour, some of the things to look for. So bonus tips. Number one is if you don't utilize the magic hour, this is kind of a helpful tip if you don't want to buy it, if you don't want to stay at a resort, or you're staying at the resort and you want to kind of get a heads up on everyone else, is if you don't do magic hour, what you do, say you're at Disneyland and you have magic hour at Disneyland that day, and what you would want to do is go to California Adventure that day, because the reasoning behind this is that you would imagine everyone would be going to Disneyland for the magic hour, and that opens up a little bit of a gap for California Adventure, which is huge because it takes some of the pressure away from the line. So if you get there as soon as California Adventure opens, at rope drop, that way gives you an advantage over everyone else that's already at Disneyland that might be going to California Adventure later. So if you're not doing magic hour, definitely go to a different park. Like if it's Magic Kingdom that morning, go to Epcot and just be there for rope drop. Next advantage we have here. So you've chosen to do magic hour. Let's say you're at Epcot for magic hour in the morning, and you've finished all your rides. What big advantage and bonus tip you have here is it gives you the advantage to go straight to, say, the biggest ride there. Say you want to ride Soarin'. You can be one of the first people in line because you only have to compete with the people that have done magic hour that day. And so as soon as the park opens and all the other rides open up, you can be first in line for some of the biggest rides that they have, cutting back on wait time by a lot. So next tip I have here is make sure you are there early. Like I said before, if you are there early, sometimes they do let you in early, and that's pretty important, because if you get an extra 15 minutes on top of your magic hour, that's even, that could be a whole nother ride. So that's definitely something you want to be there early. You want to be at the park open as soon as the magic hour is there. And then here's just another little tip. The early morning is great to capture those iconic shots. There's a less demand for your photo pass photographers that if you want to take pictures in front of the castle or anywhere around the park, there's normally not going to be a line there. So if you have some time to spare, you can definitely get some good photo opportunities in before the rush of people come flooding through the gates. And then the last tip here I have, if you're trying to do your character meet and greets, setting up and doing them in the magic hour time is great for kids, because some of those lines get really, really long and you might not want to waste a fast pass on it. So you could visit characters like Minnie and Goofy and all their friends, and they're normally out there, either they're at their normal spots or they're walking around, so it just gives you a little bit more time to take those pictures without having to rush around or waste your fast passes on it. So that's what we have for today. Hopefully this helps you guys out. What I want to do now is do some live Q&A. So what I want to pull up is, let's see here, pull up the live chat, see if we answer any questions from you guys, and we can kind of have a discussion. Maybe you have some tips and tricks that I haven't mentioned. So let's see, give you guys some time to ask some questions, or maybe even recommend some things that I might not have mentioned. There's a lot, there's a lot going on. There's a lot of people out there that have a lot of experience with going to magic hours. I mean, myself included. But you might pick up some new tips or tricks that I haven't tried yet. So let's see here. Alrighty. I hope this video was helpful for you guys. I would definitely try to use magic hour if you guys can. It's definitely going to benefit you in the long run. But it doesn't look like we have any questions right now, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap this video up, and I will see you guys next time. Oh yeah, and I just wanted to mention real quick why I still have you guys here is, let's see here, I want to go over the thing with Disney World is they have alternating hours for their magic hours. So if we look here, if you go to the Disney World website and you pull up the calendar for magic hours, it'll give you a list, and this changes quite often, so I definitely would recommend referring to this for your trip. And sometimes it changes last minute. It can change at a moment's notice. But it gives you all of the different, so you can see here the magic hours for Magic Kingdom on this is March 3rd. They had magic hours from 10 p.m. to 12 a.m. So they had the night magic hours. So this list will give you all the different parks and the times that they open. For Disneyland and California Adventure, they're always at the hour before the park opens. They don't fluctuate and they don't have night hours, so you don't have to worry about a schedule really there. But you can see like Epcot here, they had their 9 p.m. to 11, so you can see how that's getting kind of late for some of those, and some of them go into 1 o'clock in the morning depending on when Magic Kingdom closes. So definitely refer to this. Gives you fireworks, gives you all the different parades, and then it gives you the magic hours. And if you go to the resorts, when you check in, they'll normally give you a list of all the events that are going on, including the magic hours, and what parks has what when. So definitely refer to this. I'm going to put some more information on DisneyDad.org. The blog on there. I'm going to put a whole article up there with going over this information that we just discussed, and on there you'll be able to see all these hours, and you'll have all the links that you'll need for setting up your magic hours when you go to plan your trip. Alright guys, thanks for tuning in. We have a question here. Does the monorail run late during magic hours? So yes, it absolutely does. It'll keep going for a couple hours after the park closes, which includes magic hours. So if the park closes at 10 o'clock, then the monorail, I believe, runs for 2 hours after that. And for Disneyland, one thing you have to note for Disneyland is the monorail only goes to Disneyland. So if you're planning your trip out for your magic hours in the morning and it's California Adventure that day, you're going to need to set up some transportation to get yourself to California Adventure, as the monorail doesn't run. So you can take the bus or something else, but you do have to note that for the magic hours you can take the monorail at Disneyland in the morning. Alrighty here. Alright, thanks for stopping by, guys. I definitely hope this is helpful. Like I said, DisneyDad.org will definitely have all the information that we've gone over today, and like I said, this video will be up so you guys can watch it again if you need to. Until next time, guys, I'll see you later.